That's why I'm not married, says Althea. Trust me, him would be a dead man. And I know that is true, Althea. Join me now. Amen, 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 amen. She said that would be a dead man to do that to your child or even to you. Amen. A lot of times, now imagine you don't appreciate what your partner have done. It's better you say to your wife, I am not hungry, or is there something else that I could eat? Instead of becoming abusive. Sometimes the food might be a little bit salt. Or the food might be fresh. Some men will begin to curse you out. They will begin to curse you out and say all manner of things to you. That's abuse. Amen. And listen to me, I know some women head hot, you know. Any man where throw food pan them or box them or lick them or abuse them physically, him not go have the hand and the foot there. And I'm not promoting violence, but before it gets to that, leave that relationship. If you have to kick and box and carry on all of those things, your partner, it don't make no sense. Reverend Georgia's husband is online. Welcome. Amen. It don't make no sense. Run if you have to run to save your life. Abuse is real. And let me tell you, verbal abuse and emotional abuse is just as dangerous as physical abuse. And as I said earlier, a lot of people end up with mental illnesses because of verbal, emotional, and mental abuse. They end up in depression and they end up committing suicide because of the abuse that they have encountered. You have one life to live. Live that life the best way you can. Love yourself. Love God. Love your family. Amen. Love them. But do not subject yourself to abuse. Don't do it. Marie says, sometimes a woman provokes the man in terrible ways, then the man hits out in anger. As I said earlier, we women love to start the fire and can't control it. Amen. You must not do it. You have women who would hit the man first. Hit the man seriously. See the man in a crowd and tell him some disgraceful things. And then when the man hit out at you in anger, you run gone and look what the boy do. Women, respect your men, respect your children. Respect, 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 respect goes a far way. Sandra P.G. Mills says, that is my story to create a new season when you must be wiser. Woman, choose using God's principles for relationships. That is so true. But woman of God, did you know also that you have women and men that God has placed together? And somewhere along the line, somebody slips up, and even though God has placed you together, the man or the woman become abusive. Bless you, abusive. Even though God had placed you together. A lot of persons are of the belief that because God said these two people must be together, mean that it's gonna work all by itself. No way. You have to put in the work. You have to choose to respect this person. You choose to love this person. You choose to honor this person. So don't take it for granted that because God placed you together, mean that it's going to work automatically by itself. Your parents send you to school, and if you don't go there and do the work, you can't blame them. They sent you to school. So that's what we're talking about. So even though you seek the face of God, the devil will creep in, into a relationship that God has put together. Good afternoon, woman. God bless you. Yvette. God bless you. God bless you. Amen. So it's to put in the work. God will put two people together, and very soon after they're in the relationship, inferiority complex creeping, and then abuse start to happen. You got Travis? Amen. Look in the bag, you said something from my throat. A little sweet or something. Listen to me, people of God. God placed Adam and Eve in the garden, and he gave them a rule. He says, only of this tree do not eat. Don't they disobey? God tell them one thing, and he said, only can live in here, so rent free. But they did not obey. The thing is that when God has placed two persons together, is that you can always go back to God when things are not working out the way you expect it to work out. You can go back to the source. You hear what Adam said to God? Adam said, the woman that thou gavest me, gave me the apple to eat. So he didn't want to take responsibility. She brought the apple to you. But it don't mean that he had to eat the apple. But he ate. Take up that glass for me. Amen. So we have to put in the work. But I'm saying, women and men, if you are in an abusive relationship, do something about it. Get help. Get help. Don't say it's not physical abuse, so you don't have to pay it any mind. As I said, I went through physical and verbal, emotional abuse. And when I look at it, my neck was so stiff. There were bulges in my neck, down my back, across my shoulders. I couldn't turn my neck. Emotional abuse, verbal abuse. I lost my joy. I didn't want to be in the company of anyone. I would be at work and I would hide in the restroom because I don't want my patients to see me crying. I sometimes would be discussing a very hot topic and I'm going through the same thing. And so I would walk away, cry, compose myself and come back. And I went through that for a long time. And then it turned into physical abuse. When I talked to my ex about marriage, then, say, I'm good name I want. Because women, some men will only want you for what you can give them, your body, and for keeping them clean. And they have no intention of marrying you. Be wise. Be wise in this season. I went through the verbal abuse to the point of I lost so much weight. I was skin and bones. Couldn't take care of myself properly. And I thought more and more that if I did more in the home, things would improve. I'm paying the rent, I'm paying the light. I'm buying food, I'm paying the furniture bills. And yet I was doing nothing. Yet I would be looked at and say, oh, me too intelligent for can't reason. Yeah, man, emotional abuse, man. Every chance they got was just to rip me down. But thank God, I had to be wise and get out of it. And I know sometimes it is not easy to go, especially if there are children in the relationship. I wonder if you're all listening to me today.
Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Jonathan Nelson.
But we have to wise up. Financial abuse. One person have all the bank account. One person have the credit cards and the debit cards. So you can't do anything unless that person does it. That's financial abuse. You're working and them set up that money go into their account. And so you cannot access anything independently. That's financial abuse. And I know some of you have never heard about this one. Financial abuse, it's out there. To follow me. Let us wise up in this season. Abuse of any form is wrong. As someone shared a while ago, the woman stays in the abusive relationship. It's verbally abusive, and she stays because of the children. What are you teaching the children? What are you telling the children? You're telling the children to accept any and everything. You're telling the children that it's okay to be verbally abusive to someone, and for someone to be verbally abusive to you. It's wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. Oftentimes when you settle for these abuse, the person who is abusing you were once abused. Amen. Do not settle for abuse of any kind. Sexual abuse. Your partner can sexually abuse you. So it's not just rape from a stranger or a friend. Your partner can rape you. And that's abuse. Amen. It is abuse. Older folks are often abused when they are in homes. Sometimes you leave your relatives in a home, a nursing home, and when you go back, they are all black and blue. And no one wants to give an account. of white is that your relative is the way they are. Amen. Hear what they say about the elderly. People with care and support needs, such as older people or people with disabilities, are more likely to be abused or neglected. They may be seen as an easy target and may be less likely to identify abuse themselves or to report it. People with communication difficulties can be particularly at risk because they may not be able to alert others. Sometimes people may not even be aware that they are being abused. And this is especially likely if they have a cognitive impairment. Abusers may try to prevent access to the person they abuse. Even verbal, emotional abuse, sometimes you are not even aware of it until later. And when you have controlling, abusing partners, they try to cut you off from the rest of your family. They try to cut you off from your friends. That you won't be able to tell them what you're going through. When you have abusive, controlling partners, they monitor your very actions because they don't want you telling anybody. They screen everything you do. I hope that if you're seeing these things, you take them as warning signs. Signs of abuse can often be difficult to detect. This at-a-glance briefing aims to help people who come into contact with people with care and support needs to identify abuse and recognize possible indicators. Many types of abuse are also criminal offenses and should be treated as such. Do not cover up the abuse. It's a criminal act. Althea says the Bible says we must do whatever we find to do in the will of God. Some of us are not independent because we look down on some work. True, Althea. That is so true. We believe that we're above certain things. But if it's a means of survival and it is not illegal, I will do it. I was working until the day God stopped me. Amen. God had to stop me or else I would be working up to this day. I'm now doing the work of God. Some people feel as if me, if I go sell back juice, the people see me out a road, but them I go see the lick them pan you. They go see the black and blue eyes. They go hear you screaming and running. And maybe he come visit you in the hospital. Here are some of the abuses. Physical abuse, domestic violence abuse, sexual abuse, psychological or emotional abuse, financial or material abuse, modern day slavery abuse. Let me talk to some men and women. Some men will say a woman work and them not do nothing. Modern day slavery. The man must sit down and watch TV and watch football and all other woman doing everything. Picnic, potter cook, iron, work, house cleaning, everything. And you does nothing. That's modern day slavery and it is wrong. Discriminatory abuse. That is the same one that comes back to the emotional abuse. We discriminate against each other. It's wrong. Neglect or acts of omission. Even when you self-neglect, you don't take care of yourself, you abuse yourself. And I do hope and pray that today persons will understand what abuse is. Listen to this. Types of physical abuse. Listen carefully. Types of physical abuse are assaulting, hitting, slapping, punching, kicking, hair pulling, biting, pushing, rough handling, scalding and burning, physical punishments, inappropriate or unlawful use of restraint, making someone purposefully uncomfortable. Example, opening a window and removing blankets. Involuntary isolation or confinement. Misuse of medication over sedation. I heard of that the other day. Forcible feeding or withholding food. Unauthorized restraint, restricting movement, tying someone to a chair. Talking about the different types of physical abuse. Possible indicators of physical abuse. No explanation for injuries or inconsistency with the account of what happened. Injuries are inconsistent with the person's lifestyle. Bruising, cuts, welts, burns and or marks on the body or loss of air in clumps. Frequent injuries. Unexplained falls. Subdued or changed behavior in the presence of a particular person. Signs of malnutrition. Failure to seek medical treatment or frequent changes of GP. Because you get in the lick them, you change your general practitioner often. We're talking about abuse. Let me know what you think about abuse. Talk to me. Domestic violence or abuse. Types of domestic violence or abuse. Domestic violence or abuse can be characterized by any of the indicators of abuse outlined, as I said before: psychological, physical, sexual, financial, emotional. Can be termed as domestic violence or domestic abuse. Domestic violence and abuse includes any incident or pattern of incidents of controlling, coercive or threatening behavior, violence or abuse between those aged 16 or over or have been intimate partners or family members, regardless of gender or sexuality. It also includes so-called honor-based violence, female genital mutilation, and forced marriage. Coercive or controlling behavior is a core part of domestic violence. Coercive behavior can include acts of assault, threats, humiliation, and intimidation, harming, punishing, or frightening the person, isolating the person from sources of support, exploitation of resources or money, preventing the person from escaping abuse, regulating everyday behavior. If you're along with somebody who regulates your every new move, you are to be at work at that time, you must be home by that time, you must be in bed by that time, you must be off the phone by that time. It is abuse. That's domestic violence. And if you are being abused and the person is preventing you from getting help, that's domestic violence too, and you need to get the law involved. Possible indicators of domestic violence or abuse are low self-esteem, feeling that the abuse is their fault when it is not. Physical evidence of violence such as bruising, cuts, broken bones, verbal abuse and humiliation in front of others, fear of outside intervention, damage to home or property, isolation, not seeing friends and family, limited access to money, domestic violence, abuse, sexual abuse, types of sexual abuse, Altia says, thanks be to God, I never have to go through that. Sexual abuse, types of sexual abuse. Rape, attempted rape or sexual assault. Inappropriate touch anywhere. Non-consensual masturbation of either or both persons. Non-consensual sexual penetration or attempted penetration of the vagina, anus, or mouth. Any sexual activity that the person lacks the capacity to consent to. Inappropriate looking, sexual teasing, or innuendo or sexual harassment. Sexual photography or forced use of pornography or witnessing of sexual acts. Indecent exposure. All that is termed as sexual abuse. Possible indicators of sexual abuse. Bruising, particularly to the thighs, buttocks, and upper arms, and marks on the neck. Torn, stained, or bloody underclothing. Bleeding, pain, or itching in the genital area. Unusual difficulty in walking or sitting. Foreign bodies in genital or rectal openings. Infections, unexplained genital discharge, or sexually transmitted diseases. Pregnancy in a woman who is unable to consent to sexual intercourse. The uncharacteristic use of explicit sexual language or significant changes in sexual behavior or attitude. Incontinence not related to any medical diagnosis. Self-harming. Poor concentration. Abuse. Amen, Tracy. She says, been through it, but thank be to God. Get out quick. Amen. Get out of it. Do not stay in any abusive situation. Poor concentration, withdrawal, sleep disturbance. That shows sexual abuse. Excessive fear, apprehension, or of withdrawal from relationships. Fear of receiving help with personal care. Reluctance to be alone with a particular person. Amen. Still talking about abuse. Talk to me, people. Psychological or emotional abuse. Types of psychological or emotional abuse. Enforced social isolation. Preventing someone from accessing services, educational and social opportunities, and seeing friends. Removing mobility or communication aids, or intentionally leaving someone unattended when they need assistance. We're talking about psychological or emotional abuse now. Preventing someone from meeting their religious and cultural needs. It's abuse. Preventing the expression of choice and opinion. That's abuse. Failure to respect privacy. Preventing stimulation, meaningful occupation or activities. Intimidation, coercion, harassment, use of threats, humiliation, bullying, swearing, or verbal abuse. That's abuse. Addressing a person in a patronizing or infantilizing way. Threats of harm or abandonment. Cyberbullying. All that are types of psychological abuse. Possible indicators. Look out for these things of psychological or emotional abuse. Simone says, was in it for a year, but thank God. But thanks be to God, I'm out 3 years. God bless you. Come on, and I bet you are doing better, Simone. An air of silence when a particular person is present, so you'll know that something is wrong. Withdrawal or change in the psychological state of the person. Insomnia. When psychological or emotional abuse is taking place, insomnia, the person can't sleep, low self-esteem, uncooperative and aggressive behavior, a change of appetite, weight loss or gain, as I said, I shared earlier that I went through that. Signs of distress, tearfulness, anger. I was always tearful. I would just be crying. And the Lord said, no more tears. Apparent false claims by someone involved with the person to attract unnecessary treatment. That's signs, indicators of psychological or emotional abuse. Financial or material abuse. And this is one that a lot of us didn't know, including myself. Types of financial or material abuse. Theft of money or possessions. Fraud, scamming, preventing a person from accessing their own money, benefits or assets. Employees taking a loan from a person using the service. Undue pressure, duress, threat or undue influence put on the person in connection with loans, wills, property, inheritance, or financial transactions. Arranging less care than is needed to save money to maximize.
Until I put that first video up on YouTube, and until I wrote that first song.
To maximize, where am I?
Always, man.
Maximize inheritance. Denying assistance to manage money to financial affairs. Denying assistance to access benefits.
Just about doing it for fun.
Misuse of personal allowance in a care home. Misuse of benefits or direct payments in a family home. Someone moving into a person's home and living rent-free without agreement or under duress. That is abuse, financial abuse. False representation using another person's bank account, cards, or documents. Exploitation of a person's money or assets. Example, unauthorized use of a car. Misuse of a power of attorney. I can't. If I use that song, this video will be blocked. Amen. And so, Anissa, and so it says false using a person's money or assets, and it wasn't given to you for that. Misuse of a power of attorney, deputy, appointeeship, or other legal authority. Rogue trading, example, unnecessary or overpriced property repairs. Them rob the people them. And failure to carry out agreed repairs or poor workmanship. That is financial abuse. It says possible indicators of financial or material abuse. This is it. Listen carefully, people, in case you become a victim one point or the other. Amen. Possible indicators. Misuse, missing personal possessions. You know you're supposed to have the thing and you know you never trouble it, and then you just can't find it. Unexplained lack of money or inability to maintain lifestyle. You know that something is wrong. Unexplained withdrawal of funds from accounts. Power of attorney or lasting power of attorney being obtained after the person has ceased to have mental capacity. Recent changes in deeds or title to property, rent arrears and eviction notices. A lack of clear financial accounts held by a care home or service. Failure to provide receipts or shopping or other financial transactions carried out on behalf of the person. So you send out somebody to buy some stuff for you, and when they come back, they tell you that it costs more than what you gave them, and they don't have any receipt to show you. That's a financial abuse. Yeah, man, we're finding out some stuff today. A lot of this happens sometimes with persons who work in homes or schools. They send them out. And them not bring back what they're supposed to bring back. But this is one that is interesting. I want to talk about this modern day slavery one. And I'll soon end for today. Modern day slavery. Types of modern day slavery. Human trafficking. And we know that our country, well, all across the world is faced with this. I believe that they must get life imprisonment for this. Life without the chance of parole. Forced labor. Modern day slavery, including child labor. That's modern day slavery. Amen. Domestic servitude. Persons who employ the domestic helpers and they don't want to pay them. And sometimes they pay them little or nothing. And sometimes the work that they have to do is, oh God, it's very demeaning. That's modern day slavery. Sexual exploitation such as escort work, prostitution and pornography, debt bondage, being forced to work to pay off debts that realistically they will never be able to. Yeah, man. Possible indicators of modern day slavery. Signs of physical or emotional abuse, oftentimes from employers and husbands or partners or wives, appearing to be malnourished, unkept, or withdrawn. Isolation from the community, seeming under the control or influence of others. Them a go where them lock you up in the house and gone with the key. Or have someone monitor you while you're locked up in the house. Living in dirty, cramped, or overcrowded accommodation. Come back to this. And or living and working at the same address. Lack of personal effects or identification documents. Always wearing the same clothes. These are indications of modern day slavery. The purse is not well kept. Avoidance of eye contact. Appearing frightened or hesitant to talk to strangers. Fear of law enforcers because they always have to be hiding. Discriminatory abuse. Types of discriminatory abuse. Unequal treatment based on age, disability, gender, reassignment, marriage and civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion and belief, sex or sexual orientation known as protected characteristics under the Equality Act 2010. So it's not foolishness I'm telling you things by law. Denying access, verbal abuse, derogatory remarks or inappropriate use of language related to a protected characteristic. Denying access to communication aids. Not allowing access to an interpreter, signer, or lip reader if the person needs it. Harassment or deliberate exclusion on the grounds of a protected characteristic. Denying basic rights to healthcare, education, employment, and criminal justice relating to a protected characteristic. Substandard service provision relating to a protected characteristic. Amen. In the cases of discriminatory abuse, the person appears withdrawn and isolated. Expressions of anger, frustration, fear, or anxiety. The support of an offer does not take account of the person's individual needs in terms of a protected characteristic. Where is he? Amen. So today we have touched the topic of abuse. We have covered many types of abuse. And so I do hope and pray that as we learn about these different types of abuse today, that we will not become victims. If you are in such a situation, please get help. Please, for the love of God, get help. If you are afraid, make an indication to someone. It could save your life. It could save your life. For? Why?
They might change the something.
Oh,
JPS.
the light. Okay. Yeah, let me switch this. Hold on, people of God, let me switch the data. Yes, people of God, I had to switch. JPS is fixing something, so I had to switch. But I'm using data on this. And so, people of God, whatever area of abuse you may have gone through, turn on. Please, for the love of God, please, 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 for the love of God, and I'm out of light. Amen. For the love of God, get help. Amen. Get help. Get help. Get help. Where are they changing it? On the house? This light? Amen. Please get help. I need to go because they're working on the power. As you see, I didn't have any light just now. And so, as they work on the light, sorry, I'm going to have to end prematurely, but please share. Share, share, share. Abuse is real. Abuse kills. It kills you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Get help. Encourage somebody today. Encourage them to get help. Do not keep it a secret. Stop blaming yourself. Parents, your children tell you that they have been abused. Get help for them. Believe them until otherwise proven. Get help. Abuse is real. Do not allow them to continue where they are bitter and angry. Get help. Get help. Get help. Get help. I cannot stress it enough. Get help. It is serious. Get help. Get help, people of God. If you know you see the darkness comes, you know that they have disconnected the light. The television. Amen. Get help. It's nothing to be ashamed of. No, the other one. Turn it off. It's nothing to be ashamed of. If it is rape or other sexual abuse, get help. Verbal abuse, whatever the abuses are, get help. Help is there. Reach out to someone. If you're online and inbox me, let us talk. Get help. It is serious. I've been there. I've been abused physically. I've been abused verbally. Okay, now it's gone. See you again. God bless you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. The light is out.